I really did push the button. Okay. StreamYard has been taking its time lately.
Yeah, it lags.
Yeah. StreamYard's a pain in the butt lately.
Well, welcome to the live show. We're here to talk Undeniable by Daisy Jane.
Where's my book?
Okay. So, welcome to everyone joining us. So, I'm Mandy with Bestie Book Reviews. We have...
I'm Jennifer with Book
I thought Jessica was going to go.
I thought so too. She's next on my grid.
She's your bestie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm Mandy's other half here. I'm Jessica at Bestie Book Reviews.
And I'm Amber from Amber Reads Romance.
All right. I am doing this on my computer and just checking to make sure my video still looks okay now that we're live.
Yeah, you're still clear.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll just dive right in and give maybe not our thoughts yet, but just how we rated it. How about we do that first? Does that sound good? And then we'll talk our thoughts.
Yeah, let's do ratings.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
Who wants to jump in?
I think Amber wants to jump in first.
You guys, I don't know if you want my rating first.
Just rating.
Just rating.
What is it?
Maybe a 2.5, 3 star for me. Maybe 2.5 by the ending.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I'll go. I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.
That's what I gave it. Solid 4.
I wrote in my notes 4.5. And then when we did our 1 minute book recs, I said 5 because they just kind of rounded up. So I hope everyone checked the triggers like Daisy Jane had warned us to do. I have like a whole, let's see, I think you guys can see it. I have this whole section here is Daisy Jane books. This is the first one I've read where she's done something quite as bold as what she did in this one. Usually everything is taboo and a little more light. She does have one where the jam one where she's
that one.
a killer, but it's still done more very light. This was very heavy.
Different.
See, I think I didn't even think there was triggers, and like because I thought when she brought that up, it was like, oh, it's like the naughty stuff, maybe the whatever. Because I went in thinking mom's is X. I don't really ever read triggers because I'm usually kind of going in expecting a certain thing. But like I'm thinking mom's X. I'm ready for a taboo. I know she writes good, spicy taboo stuff, and so when that happened, like the 70%, like near the end, like I was at a 4. Most of the book, and then I was so pissed, like I was reading at work too, and I got so mad, and I'm like, oh my god. But I would still read her again. I think this was just a different book than like what her usual type was. I liked her writing. I was engaged, like I was at a solid 4 star until that. Like then I was like, I felt emotionally manipulated.
But I think everybody should know that this was Amber's first Daisy Jane book. So like,
my first one.
What to expect kind of from her. So I think like that's where my 4 came in was because I know Daisy Jane. Like I can dive into her book and like, get lost.
Yes.
But there was just that one thing that you were talking about. I'm thinking that's the same thing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Well, and it was bad for me because it's like not just hearing about it. It was like on page where we're having the Dr. Stradling doing like the CPR. So it's like I'm seeing that and I've loved this. I fell in love with that character. And I was like, no. And I kept reading like, no, this isn't happening. It's gonna be a mistake.
Yeah.
That's
and then it wasn't. And so I was like,
him. Or like why
so let's just make sure we let everybody know we are talking spoilers. So we are gonna have some pretty big spoilers. We have quite a few people watching.
Yeah.
I have a comment I'll pop up here in just a second.
Yeah, hopefully everybody read it that's watching and they know we're gonna
so big spoilers. I have read a ton of Daisy Jane, and while I was reading this, I was like, oh, that's so weird. I don't know like, is Benny gonna get his own book? Because I can't remember him being any books. And that's what I kept thinking the whole time. Because there's a couple I haven't read, but even the ones I haven't read, I kind of know what they're about. And I'm like, I don't know that one of those would be Benny's. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that it was gonna be a mistake too, because he goes in and he's like, was he the one in the hoodie? And I'm like, oh,
that's
he
not
switched
him.
hoodies with somebody or something like that. But then I was like,
what I was
Daisy Jane doesn't usually take like the easy way out. Like she makes her characters work for things and develop stuff. So I'm like, that doesn't really feel like something she'd do either. So I was like, yeah.
Well, and then the other thing I guess like at the end I saw that they had their own book, because I was like, oh, it looks like, I'm like, we should know these. The leader of the MC or whatever was like, oh, then they have their own book. But I was like, this doesn't seem like an MC to me. Like I read lots of MC romance. I'm like, this doesn't seem like dark like an MC. And so that kind of took me out at one point. But I was like, oh, I'll just, it's one little thing. But I was like, this didn't seem like a dark, like we're dealing with guns and drugs. And it seemed like more of a protector of the town type of thing, maybe.
I like the Fallen MC, like from Gianna Darling, like where they protect everybody, but they have like
they have criminal stuff. Yeah. So I always think MC criminal, like it's like
right.
So
and Daisy has a different name that she writes under for dark. So that's what that this is. So she writes under Ember Hughes. She only has the one book. It's freaking amazing. But she only has the one book right now. Under that, she'll have another one here soon. But that's where she writes her dark. So I knew it couldn't be dark.
Right.
But I
was just expecting spicy fun, like spicy fun time.
But she does have that. But Daisy also writes, like she'll market the spice and the fun kinks, but there's always so much more to her books. And this one did feel different. This one came off feeling different immediately. But it still sucked me in like a Daisy Jane book does. Yeah. But I could just tell this was a little bit more in this one. So
I also was I didn't totally ick, but I was like, I had an issue with it being like he was taking care of her at like 4 to like 7, giving her baths and like fully being like parental. And then I thought they got together way too fast. That was my thing, was like, I wanted a little bit more slow burn or like drawing it out a little bit and him fighting his feelings a little bit more, not like instantly turned on by her. That was but I was like, oh, like, that's okay. I still like enjoyed it. I was still enjoying the read until I got to that part. And then I was kind of like skimming. Like I probably would have DNF'd it if I didn't get that far. Like, well, not really, because getting that far made me get to the part. But like, I don't know. Like, it was still good writing. I still thought interesting characters, side characters. I was more expecting, oh, it's going to be the typical drama with the mom. But she was really like absent at the end too. And then, so I was like, that's kind of where I was expecting it to go. So she definitely went a different way than like I was expecting. But it just was, it was really tough.
I liked how she did it, because there's so many where like they grow up kind of knowing this person and then all of a sudden the attraction starts. So I actually like that he knew them when they were very little. There is a huge gap between her that he knew and the her he meets now. So I actually like that. We have quite some comments, so let's get caught up on those. So hi, Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Thanks for joining. She says not her favorite Daisy Jane, but she gave it 3.5. I would say this is very different from most of the, like, I still really enjoyed it, but it's a very different feel than a lot of her other books. But I actually really like that about Daisy's books, because they all kind of have a different feel. For she
doesn't have the same formula, right? Like she does something different, which I appreciate.
She is not a rinse and repeat, especially for how many books she puts out.
I agree with you with the 10-year age gap, or the 10-year gap of them not seeing each other. Like I think I would have been more out if that gap didn't happen, because he's meeting her as a different person, and so like that just made me feel better. But again, we've read Daisy Jane before, so I kind of knew her voice, but she definitely surprised me.
I did not see that coming.
I know. I was like, I was also reading talk this morning, and I'm like crying, like, why would you do this? I just woke up and this happened to me.
Welcome.
Be
Aw.
careful, we're spoiling things. If
Yeah.
you only read half of it.
I not want to read it.
Megan gave between a 3.5 and a 4
Mhm.
star. And Megan, you've read Daisy Jane before, I think.
I think she
I
has.
think
Yeah.
she
I
has.
think
too,
she
yeah.
has.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's that
Okay,
series that she has that is like kind of like the crazy, most recent one where it's like the wild, like almost
The
stalker chick? And
Twisted
okay, because
Sisters.
I really want to try that one. So it's not like I'm not gonna continue. I just think this one was a different one for me for like my first one. I still liked her writing and stuff, you know, like it had me engaged when I first picked it up. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's Twisted Sisters, I think, right? Or
okay,
Twisted-
yeah, that's the one I've been hearing about a lot. So I wanted to give that series a try.
I think
But
that
I do-
series hit her on the like it brought a
It-
lot of
it-
people to her.
I think that's what
Yeah.
she told us, right, Mandy? That one took off.
Yes, but
More.
she had her second book had femdom in it, or
Mhm.
femdom. I think is how
Femdom.
she.
Dom. It's you're being dominated. It's a dom.
Yes, but she pronounced it femdom,
Femdom.
like kingdom,
Like,
femdom.
yeah.
When we
Yeah.
talked to her,
So I don't know what's right. But
But anyways, she had said that next year she's not going to write that anymore because those just do not do that well for her.
That's surprising. You think like I see it on like that's where I've seen her, like was starting with that, you know, like
But her
She had a post like that though, so I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
She could try it.
her Wrench Kings series is really good as well. Like it's their
Mhm.
mechanics and it's just
Mm.
the
Oh.
kinks. The kinks are there. So
Oh yeah, she always brings the kinks. I'm
oh, she does. She
Megan
really
says
does.
yes, she has read Daisy before.
Okay.
She felt like the mom would have thrown a fit.
well, and then that was the problem
Yeah.
with me was like she was actually saying like, oh no, you're not. She was throwing a fit to start with, and then like when all of a sudden he moves them out, there was like nothing. I was like, okay, well, like she was throwing a fit, and then she just lets him move her kids out. Like it just seemed weird. I was like, I thought she would not that she cared about them, but that she would use that as a manipulation thing.
Apparently, when you care more about drugs.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't
out of
think
sight,
that-
out of mind is the way that I put it. But I'm glad
Yes.
that
Yeah.
she bring her up at the end because I wish I would have known like why was Benny where he was at that time and like what were they doing? And I didn't read the other book with the two males, the sheriff and Mars.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I know that turn apparently is in there because they almost lost Mars there. But like what was he doing? I don't know. I just
Oh,
want-
because he was with the group of friends. That's what was making me so sad. Was this is like the first time he finally got to have friends. He had a stable environment, and he was with that group that were like because they talked about it a little bit early about them going to go like play music and whatever. And so that's why I was like hoping. That's so bad. I'm like hoping it wasn't him, but one of the other kids.
I thought until they actually said it on book, I was like, it's not him. Like that. It's
Yeah,
a mistake. It's not.
it's a mix up. I don't know. Like no.
Until I saw it, and I was like, no.
Megan, I agree. That is my favorite too.
You guys, if
Other
you want
Brother.
to read The Other Brother, I highly suggest getting it soon, or at least buying it on your Kindle, because she has threatened to take that down. She's threatened to not have it anymore, which is why we bought the physical copies when we saw her in Vegas. So
On like
Is that on KU right now, or is it she taking it down?
on
fully?
it's in Amazon, so you can get it for. I don't know if it's on KU or if it's
Okay.
if you purchase it, but it should be on Amazon. I'm not 100% sure.
but
And
if you want a physical copy,
yes.
is what you're saying. Like if you want the actual copy. to
No,
buy
she'll
it.
even take it where you can't. She has a few books that are out of print that you can't get, and she's threatening to do that with this one.
I'm gonna have to
So-
check that one out then because
Yeah, I'm like looking at it right now.
What'd you
'cause
say,
I'm like,
Mandy?
I don't remember. I know that you've mentioned this a couple of times, but I don't remember the conversation with her.
It was when we had our interview with her, and I don't know if it's on film or after the fact, but she had said that she was thinking about taking it, like archiving it. So
because of the content.
I have no idea. Probably because it's just one of her older
Mm.
stories and
Mm.
doesn't get the attention. So, and I agree with Fave Books. I will read her shopping list, her grocery list too.
Yeah, it's
That
still
was
on
good.
her website. It's still on Amazon, and
Yeah.
it's on all of her. On
looks like
her-
it's on Kindle
order.
too, unlimited.
Yeah. It's just something she
Yeah.
mentioned to us when we had our interview with her that she had thought about it. So I don't know if she will if she decided not to follow through with that, because that was several months ago. But
I went ahead and grabbed it just in case.
I have a physical copy on my contemporary shelf down there.
I have not read this.
Contemporary.
I have. So my husband for Christmas.
Contemporary.
For my Christmas, for this year for Christmas, my husband was like, I was like, oh, I have a Christmas wish list. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of books. There's a few on there, but here's my Christmas wish list. He's like, why don't you just go buy your bookshelves and we'll rearrange the bedroom and put your bookshelves up? So that's what we did yesterday. So I have, at the end, I have one book that's all like my contemporary stuff. Then I have my, what Mandy calls my weird shit shelf. So it's all of my aliens and my shifters and all those guys. And then the rest, these other 3 are all dark romance. So
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll have to do like a bookshelf tour there.
Especially with my new editions or new special editions coming, they have to go somewhere here. So,
Oh yeah.
So I have not read The Stray. Jessica, you've read The Stray.
No, I downloaded The Stray, but I haven't read The Stray.
I thought you read that one.
I read Where Violets Bloom, and then I wanted to read The Stray, was on my list. But I haven't. I do have it on my Kindle though. So
I don't think I have that one. I've read Where Violets Bloom. I really like that one too.
Yeah, that's a crazy, obsessive, crazy.
Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Andy's a cop.
And he's a cop. Yeah.
That gives me unconditional vibes. As soon as you said cop, I'm like, oh, that gives me.
Yes. Yep. Definitely a different feel than unconditional, but yes. Yeah. I almost got when we first started this book and she was young and he's older and he's a biker. I almost got Torment by Dylan Page feels, and I was like, oh. But then as we got going, I'm like, it's Daisy. I gotta trust that it's Daisy and she's not gonna.
Oh yeah, that's a book that I've been wanting to read forever too, but I heard it's like. I haven't been in a mood to read it yet. So.
We can talk about it after this. I don't know how you're gonna feel about that one. Mandy hated it. I really liked it, but I had trauma from it, and I don't get about books. So have you read it yet, Jen?
No, I haven't. It's on my wish list, but again, I think I needed to be in a mindset.
Yeah. Because I've heard, things. So I'm like, oh, that's a little dark for me right now.
Yes.
I feel that you felt some type of like when you say that, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to.
Yeah, no, I still have a little bit of trauma. Now I can say that I really enjoyed it, but I will say there's grimming in it. And that is not what gave me my trauma.
Yeah.
The trauma happens later. And I don't know that I'm over it. I mean, I'm over it enough that I can handle it, but I'm not over
talk about it. Yeah. The only thing that like really bugs me is if there's too much. I'm not a big fan of degradation. I'll read it.
I hate degradation.
It's not, if it's here and there, it's very prevalent, then I'm
I want the obsession over any kind of degradation that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like I'm okay with degradation if they mix in a little praise. It's like here or there. But if I can search like, where they call them their little slut or your blah, 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 like and you search and it's on there like 100 times in the book. I'm like, okay, come on. Like I can't. So
I think
I need a little praise.
BJ Alpha does that really well with her books. There's a lot of praise. There's a lot of obsession. There's a lot of that touch her and die, she's fine kind of a thing. But you don't get the degradation as much.
Yeah.
So
it's different when it's like what you're talking about, obsession, and he calls her something like, I like that when he may call her something dirty. Like that's just his nickname for her in the bedroom.
Yeah.
But he doesn't mean it like it comes off because he's obsessed with her. Like that's different than that pure just, I don't know. It just but I'll read them. I just don't prefer it.
Yeah. No.
But this one was, I mean, I knew like Daisy, man, she like breaking out with even like at the end, she's like pulling in new kinks. And I'm like, okay, girl, I mean, all right.
Yeah, that's what like I wanted to appreciate the lactation stuff at the end. But like I was like so angry that I was like skimming a lot of like, I'm like, oh, we're going to continue with sex scenes after you did this to me.
I know, but I was like, it was so funny because he's like thinking about it and she just looks at him like, do it. And I'm like, okay, Daisy.
And I was like, oh, cool. I went like immediately to add it to like the tag thing on my Goodreads. Is like, I got to add that because I want to try more lactation kink stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
So
Daisy's
he
got
does it really good.
She, you know,
Yeah.
you guys really should read, if you haven't, that DNF series that Mandy and I read over the summer, all those little novellas.
Oh,
You
yeah.
should at the very least read Daisy's, because when she
Milky.
was
Isn't
Milky.
that Milky?
Milky.
Mhm.
Because when she was telling us about it before it came out, she's like, it's MFV. And we're like, what? Male, female, vacuum. And we're like,
Oh yeah.
what? How is that even a thing? But it's so good and it's so funny, and it's just, she just took this crazy idea and made solid gold out of it. So it's hilarious. It's awesome. But it just gives you that
I'm
thing.
not a big fan of like Insta Love, but the first book in Twisted Sisters,
Mhm.
Insta Love. I mean, she's obsessive, and I love that she flipped the script. It was a female who was obsessive, and
Yeah.
then like just like these super things that would be ick, like the toothbrush and all this other stuff. And I'm like, but it's just, it was so fun. It wasn't ick. It was hilarious. Like I was having such a good time reading things that would typically give me an ick. It was
Yeah.
so fun. So that's
Daisy
why
just can do that.
anything.
Daisy, when we interviewed her, she talked about the All My Love, and basically like it's kind of a nod towards, you know, all of us girls who like in our teenage days obsessed over some boy we didn't really know.
Yeah.
Like,
Just kind of
obsessing.
stalking him at high school. I knew where he was at break. I knew where he
Yes.
was at.
Yes.
It drove
And
past
so
his house.
this is a
and-
situation where she's like living next door to him and like
Yeah.
actually gets intertwined in his life. So she knows him more than,
Yeah.
you know, what
Even thinks.
would be
Yeah.
And
but
has her sisters involved in like keeping watch while she goes and does it. It's like, come on. Loved
Yep.
it.
Yep.
it's into his dirty laundry.
I was like, I'll read anything she writes. She's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know when I typed in her name, I was so surprised how much stuff came up on like when I was looking on Goodreads. I'm like, wow, she's like written a lot that like, and this is like my first time. So
You really have to check out the book she wrote under Amber Hughes. I think if you like
okay.
Pam Godwin's Knotted, then you would like this.
Yes, I
It's
love
kinda
that.
like a cross between Knotted and Jennifer Hartman's
What's the name? Is it Ember? Like EMBER?
Still beating.
Still Beating. Yes, it's a cross between the two. Yeah. So
Ugh.
EMBER. Don't drop it. Amber
Jeez, I
Hughes.
know.
Ember
What-
Hughes.
That's the one. Ember Hughes. Okay.
Yeah.
You saw
I
I
know.
know that backwards for you.
Mandy
but-
and I both loved it. I know Megan, who's on here. Megan didn't like it. I saw her Goodreads. But
Megan.
we
You
loved
must
it. Megan didn't. I feel bad that Megan didn't.
Oh, we have another comment. Megan commented she's reading Sophie's Surrender.
Oh, that's
Have you guys read that? I haven't read that
Yeah,
yet.
I did, and they actually redid it like under the different name where it's not Sophie's Surrender anymore. I think it's just Surrender because she added stuff that will tie to Dare, and that whole series, like the Even If It Hurts and stuff. I'm thinking, yeah, I think it's called Surrender because I read the arc of her re-releasing it. It's basically the same thing. There's just a new epilogue at the end. Like, and it's because he has ties to Dare, and it's like showing Dare is just so effed up. Like, I don't get good vibes off Dare. People like loved him, and so they were mad at this book where they were giving it 1 star and telling her she shouldn't write anymore. And I'm like, that's so ridiculous just because you don't like the journey she's taking you on. Like, because they're like, how could you do Dare like this? Because he is crazy. At the end of it, Even If It Hurts, I was like, it felt like a romantic suspense, like, or a crime thriller kind of thing. Because I was like, she's not in a good place being with this guy. Like, he's willing to do, like, Carter Mahoney is my jam, but like, Dare is like crazy. So
he was.
yeah, but yeah, so yes, it's Surrender. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting. The epilogue, I'm not going to say anything, but like I thought it was an interesting add-on. But they were like, oh, this is a money grab. She's just trying to, but I was like, why are you going after like an independent, like a author like that? Like, anyways, I got upset with people's reviews when I saw them. I was like, don't. But I love Sam Mariano, so it's like I get defense. Even our Sam Mariano that wasn't that great that we did for our buddy read, I was like, oh, I got to give it like a 4 because it's Sam.
Yeah, we get to meet her. We get to meet her in Vegas. It
Oh,
was her and her daughter that
cool.
were there. But she, Sam Mariano's kind of hit or miss. I either love it or I'm like, it's not for me. And I don't know what
Yeah.
it is about. So, some of them are great. Some it's just, it must be a writing thing. But yeah,
I'm
like
same.
it.
I'm same as Jess. Hi to the other Jess.
Yeah, hi to the other Jess.
I
Yes.
saw you.
I know, Megan. I know I say Meg because I have one of those in my house somewhere. But yeah, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but we loved it. So yeah. I was gonna say something about San Mariano and I can't remember now.
I have not.
We have, Mandy and I have.
Yes.
I haven't either.
You guys haven't read On the Island yet?
I don't know. I haven't.
That's reverse.
Oh, you
age
should
gap.
read that. It's
And they're
good.
Is that the
stranded.
one where they're it's like I think she was a teacher or whatever and like the
Mhm.
plane goes
She's a
I
tutor
wanted
or
to read
something?
that. Yeah, and then they're trapped on an island together and like I wanted to read that forever, but I don't think it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I never picked it up. I don't think.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
read
think
it
it
years
is.
ago. Yeah.
You said reverse age gap.
He
Yeah.
was her, like, he's young. He's like 17 when the plane crashes, and she's a little bit older because she's his tutor. He
Yeah,
had
that's
cancer,
the
and he was in
one.
remission or something. And then nothing happens until he's a few years later and he's of age. But yeah, they're stuck together.
Yeah.
Well, Megan likes it.
Yeah, Megan likes it.
That's a
Yeah,
good.
Megan
Yeah,
agrees with
I've
us.
heard really good things because it's like,
That's
you know,
good.
you're stuck together, you depend on each other. I love those survivalist type of things. So
Yeah.
like obviously like you're gonna form
That's a good
feelings
one.
later on, but it's like not in a creepy way early on or whatever type of thing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
That's
give
why
it.
I think that's why I love Unseen Messages by Pepper Winters so much, because it like takes on the, well, I mean, it's not an age gap thing. But it's that
That's a
survival
plane crash,
on
right?
island. Plane crash.
Yes, I remember
So
that
good.
one. That one. I think I was getting these two mixed up. Graves and
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
Isn't
Pepper
there one
Winters.
that's very similar?
It's Pepper Winters is like thick though.
And
Very-
she writes really dark stuff too. She's
But this one, I mean, this one's emotional in certain parts, but it's not dark. It's a little different than her dark stuff.
Yeah.
But it was really good.
So, do we have any final other comments on Undeniable, and then we can chat some other things before
I'm super glad that I'm super glad that I read it. It's
Yeah.
I'm glad that it wasn't my first though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amber.
Stuff. When I felt bad, I was like, oh my God, they're all gonna probably love it because they love Daisy Jane so much, and I'm gonna come in like, no.
She's gonna come in like a
But-
wrecking ball.
But you didn't write her off. We're gonna read her.
No, I definitely didn't. I felt like this was I kind of felt like this isn't her typical. So I was like, and I enjoyed her writing. So I will definitely, I want to try that Twisted Sister series and more. I already added that other one too.
Other brother.
The brother or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
I believe the other brother was my first Daisy Jane, or it might have been Hot Girl Summer. I can't remember which one was my first, but I think it was the other brother. The other brother was definitely the one that made me go, oh my gosh, I have to read more by her.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that'll be a good one for me to read next.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
first one was, I think it was the Wild one, and then I went to then I went to the other one that I read with the psycho stalker cop. My brain just short
Sounds
circuited.
good.
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
one. And then I read Raleigh 2, which Raleigh 2 is really good because it's twin brothers and the same girl. So, and there's some kinks in that too.
Yeah, this is a good point. The Wild one, the Wrench King series, I believe all three have audio.
They all have audio.
Daisy Jane does her female narration, and she does a really great
saw
job.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, she
Yeah.
does? That's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she
love
she did that. So she did tell us she did some training and stuff for it, and they built the booth in the house. So any of her books, I think most of her books, I should say most, are, if it has audio, she is the female narrator of them. Because
Mhm.
nobody knows the characters like Daisy. She wrote them. So I think that that's very smart of her. So if you have that ability, I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that she was the narrator of that, and I was like, I mean, when you're writing a biography, the person that does that typically does it. And so I was thinking the fact that she does that and she knows that character inside and out, like she
Mhm.
wrote that, how amazing would that be? I'm like, every author should do that one time.
I know, but it takes a lot because she was talking about the classes and stuff she had to go to. So it's more than just going, oh, I'm going to narrate my
Right.
person. You know, there's
She
more.
went the
involved to it.
distance. She was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm gonna make it, worthwhile. Yeah, for sure. That makes me love her even more.
And she's a great narrator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I as soon as I saw that, like I did like a preview, like where you can download a preview, and I'm like, damn, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe she only narrates her own books, but I don't think that of all the audiobooks I've seen, she doesn't have a ton, but of the ones I've seen of hers, she is always the female narrator.
Yeah. And she wants to get more. It's just the struggle when you're an indie author. So
yeah, audio's
pretty good job though.
Yeah. They had her on the narrator panel when we were in Vegas, and she's like, what am I doing up here? I just narrate my own books. So it was really cute. So yeah. Okay.
Any other final thoughts?
Read Daisy.
Well, no. Love her.
Read Daisy, yes. Read Daisy.
We love Daisy.
I like this cover too.
Yeah, I like it. It's a cool cover.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap up, because we're about a half an hour in, what is everybody reading, or anything exciting that you're like really excited that's going to be coming? Well, let's just do what are you reading right now? Let's do that question first, and then I'll ask my next question. So what are you reading right now?
I finished Undeniable this morning.
Like
What do you want
crickets.
from me?
What's happening?
It was funny when I looked on Goodreads today. I was like going through the books I read this week for my wrap up, and I was like, wait, it says Jessica's currently reading this and Jen's currently reading this. I was like, did they finish it? I was like,
I
oh,
noticed
no.
that too.
So I finished it this morning before, and then I had to go to work. So I'm going to pick up Neva Altai's new book.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I want to get that.
And then I'm going back into, I have a couple Christmas books that I'm reading, but Neva Altai is next because, yes.
Yeah, I want to read that too. I am currently reading The Truth About Heartbreak by B. Celeste.
Oh, Mandy.
I'm trying to remember which one that was, because a lot of her titles sound like the same, like The Thing, and I always forget which one's which. I'm like,
It's River's story.
oh yeah.
Mhm. I can't remember. I downloaded a new book to start yesterday, and I don't remember what it is.
Who's it by?
I don't remember because I downloaded 3, and I chose between the 3, which one to read a few pages of last night before I fell asleep. I was really tired last night. I don't remember. I'd have to open my Kindle and look, and it's on the bed. I can't get to it.
Okay,
So-
she's still working on Undeniable.
I'm still working. Okay, well, don't listen to our spoilers.
Oops.
Oh, The Fucking Wrong
Oh,
Man.
fucking wrong man.
Fucking Wrong Man is yummy.
Good series.
You guys are driving me nuts.
I'm doing that romantasy readathon. So I actually have to get all to this fantasy stuff, which is not my usual go-to. But I threw in she threw in some other stuff so that you could do monster aliens. So in between some of them, I threw in Blue Coral, the Naga, the third book in the Naga series. And then I'm about to start reading and annotating A Court of Silver Flames, because I'm finally finishing ACOTAR. So
I haven't read that one yet.
that one's gonna be I'm excited for it. But it's long, and annotating it is gonna take me some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I feel like it's double the time.
Yeah. Well, and those ones, there's so many different things I'm annotating for because it's fantasy. It's way more tabs and different colors, and it's just it's taken me more time to do it. But yeah, I'm finally gonna finish ACOTAR. I'm one of the last people I think that's read that, but
I'm still behind.
Okay.
I read the first however many, when they first came out. We're talking we're looking at 8 years ago. I have to read them all.
I honestly like Throne of Glass more than.
See, I haven't read the Throne of Glass
I love
at all.
both. I do love both, but I got more emotional in Throne of Glass.
But how many books are in Throne of Glass?
Oh, 8 or 9.
A lot, right? Yeah,
lot.
a lot. I think that's why I got out of YA, also because I was looking for more. I really liked the romance part of them, but I wanted more of that, and I wanted more of the.
Yeah.
I wanted pink, but
well, that's the hard time too. It's fantasy is you have to be 100% focused. I can't just listen to when I was listening to Carissa Broadbett's Daughter of No World, I loved it, but I'm wait, the names all sound the same names. like, where is this location? Like, I don't have the map. And so I get like confused. So I'm like, oh, I have to like kind of listen and physically read it a lot of the time. Cause then I'm like, I don't even remember what happened. Then I have to actually lower my speed than I usually do sometimes too, because I'm like, I don't even know. And then I was about to start the Ever King too. I'm going to listen to that audiobook because that last Audible sale, I bought so much fantasy that was on sale that I usually don't, but I kept buying audiobooks. I was like, I bought too many during this Audible sale.
I don't blame you for that at all.
So, Jess, I have heard of this James Patterson book with Dolly Parton. I was very intrigued. I might have to check that out.
How far into it are you? Is it good?
Like, are we talking about the Dolly Parton?
Yes.
Right? Like, the Dolly Parton.
I know what book I'm reading, guys. My husband came in. I was like, hand me my Kindle. It's Savage by Raisa Donovan and Addison Wolfe. I read a trilogy of theirs a year or two ago that I loved. Okay. It was full of breeding. It's what happens when we're on these things. For some reason, my mic always sounds low. I'm like literally right in front of my camera. I don't know how to get it up.
Yell into it.
Yell loud. I don't know why. It's when we have lives. It just doesn't. I probably just need a new phone, but somebody's a cheap ass and don't want to get one. That's me, not my husband.
I was like, oh, is the husband still in the room?
Okay. Megan, or no, this isn't Megan. I thought I clicked on Megan's name. No, not Megan. I'm currently reading How My Neighbor Stole Christmas from Megan Quinn. That's probably.
I still have to give her another chance.
I haven't given her another chance yet.
Yeah. It was funny on one of my Instagram posts, on the A.L. Jackson one, I was like, oh, who's your like auto-buy like author for like narrate, audiobooks? And so many people were like, Megan Quinn. I was like, oh, heart. I was like, maybe I should give her a chance on audiobook and then it'll be better or whatever.
I have this specific title written down, but Samantha Brentmore narrated one of the bride ones where they go to like Australia and Samantha Brentmore has to do an Australian accent, which she said she cannot do.
Yeah.
And so she said it's hilarious. And so she said the whole book was hilarious, but her accent particularly. So I've been wanting to listen to that just because of how much I love Samantha Brentmore.
Yeah. I think I listened to her the first time on the A.L. Jackson one. It was like the last one in the series, which ended up being my favorite one. I thought she did so good because Tessa was like my favorite character. She's like bubbly, flirty, and she was so good as Tessa. I was like, I've never even heard her before. So I have to look into her more because she did really good.
She narrates almost all of Elizabeth O'Rourke's stuff. And she does such a good job. Like you can just hear you feel the emotion from her when she's like you really feel the character. I love it.
Well, and then
she did, I think, all of the summer series.
Really?
If not all, the majority of the summer series and the
Then I probably did listen to her because I got that audiobook for that one that we did. Wait, was that Elizabeth O'Rourke?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's on Elizabeth O'Rourke. That's like her favorite narrator. So I'm pretty sure she does almost all of them.
Because she did the time travel one. My brain just starts to go with those
parallel series.
And I just listened to the last two in that series.
I still need to read that series.
It's really good.
I was gonna request that ALC, but I was like, I haven't read the other ones, and then I'm just gonna have to.
You should really start in order because you get kind of some spoilers to go through all four. But when you finish them, make sure you go and sign up for her newsletter to get the extended epilogue. Like a lot of times those aren't that exciting, but that one really wraps up the whole series and answers some questions.
Yeah.
Like it was really good. Okay, I'm behind on comments again. I'm sorry.
So I did have those ALCs too, and I told Samantha, like when I was listening to it, we've talked to Samantha, we've met her and stuff, and there's times now that we've met certain narrators where I'm like, oh, that's the narrator reading to me. But it gets to a point, I've got a hair. It gets to a point in that book, in those books with Samantha, where I forget that this is Samantha, and she takes on that character so much that you just forget that it's someone reading to you. And that's, Samantha's like, that is like the highest compliment as a narrator. And I'm like, well, then you did it. You did it.
Good narrator.
Yeah, Megan. I actually did the graphic audio while I'm doing my reread. So I I'm doing the ACOTAR, I'll listen to the graphic audio and then I'm like physically reading and like highlighting and doing the annotating. And I just listened to From Blood and Ash. I never read that book on graphic audio. So that was really cool. Sometimes though, like I have little things that bug me about graphic audio, but like it was funny on our like reading sprints the other night. Becky was like the laugh, like it drives me nuts. So like,
especially if you're listening to it at a faster speed. Because when it came out, I was like, "Ooh, graphic audio, that's gonna be better than the original." And I went to go listen to it, and at 3.5 times speed, I was like, "Oh, that's weird."
Well, it's like you're acting everything out, but you can't do a good. I'm like, why don't you watch something funny, get some laughs from that, and then we could put those in because it just sounds so ridiculous. And then, of course, like in ACOTAR, where it's like Tamlin's growling or, you know, like that's what it was like. Me and my mom listened to that in the car on like a road trip together, and it was like we're like giggling, you know, it was just kind of cringe. But it was. I do like graphic audio, but sometimes I wish they would lower the music a little bit during the action sequences and all that stuff, because I'm like trying to hear the words and it's like all these like special effects, but it's really good. Like that's a longer book too. And it feels like it goes so quickly with graphic audio. So I still like getting those.
Well, it does go a little bit quicker because they take out the whole he said, she said, they take all that out. So it is shorter than if you were listening to the original.
Yeah. That's what's when we were reading along with it. You're like, wait, they just skipped this whole like section, you know?
Yeah.
I want to go to Dollywood really bad. It is on my list. And I absolutely love how much Dolly Parton does to encourage reading, especially for children in lower income communities. Like she does a lot of amazing work.
Yeah, she's so amazing. Like
Dolly Parton. Come on.
Is there a book signing over there, Mandy, where we can go?
I don't know. I really like it is on my list. It's been on my list of places I want to go for a while.
But that's such an odd coupling. I feel like James Patterson. I mean, like he does different genres, which I love, but I don't know. I guess I'm thinking like thriller James Patterson, not like
I thought it was a mystery. Is it?
Have you ever read those his love books?
No, but I thought this was.
I only read his thrillers. I think
Sam's Letters to Jennifer. One of my favorite books. I remember trying to drive and read at the same time because I had to finish this book, and I'm like crying. It was awesome.
That was me. I couldn't drive while listening to the Binding 13. That whole series. I was like, I remember I was cleaning my mom's house. I was listening to an audiobook and I was like bawling, like where it's Snotty Nose. And I'm like, Mom, it was like Joey's ones, So I'm like, I don't think I can listen to the audiobook while I'm cleaning the house right now. So this isn't working. Did you guys ever read Taming 7? I still haven't read it.
Yeah, I read it. I don't want to talk
about it. Okay. I still got to read it. I kept putting it off. And now I'm like, I got to get that done this next year.
I'm just going to say it. No one was more disappointed in how much I hated that book than myself.
Yep.
I was so excited for it forever. I love the first, the first 4 books in that series. And then that one came and I was so excited because Gibbsy was my favorite. And I felt like she did him dirty. She did Claire dirty. It was horrible.
Preach. Yes. She said it all right there. Thank you, Andy.
That's so sad. Now I don't know if I even want to read it, because you're you want them to live like that in your head of Gibbsy and who they are. But
2 totally different people. It wasn't the same characters that you read in the first 4 books, and I was so disappointed. And Gibbsy deserved more.
Yes,
he had more, and it was not okay.
It was not. Okay. I'm sad. So angry. I actually put it on my bottom shelf.
Well, and I don't like the new, like how the books are coming out. The pages are so thin. I bought the older out of print ones from Mercari. And I'm like, why did they have to change it? And then the new pages are all flimsy where I'm like, I can't annotate this.
Why did that tickle me so
it's like she put it in timeout. Like
Go to the
she
book.
put it
Down there.
on the
It
bottom
is
of the
not worthy.
You're
My
exiled.
So
Put
upset.
the book in the freezer. Like, man,
And do you want to know the irony of this? I actually ended up with 2 copies of it.
how?
Because I ordered it off Amazon and I was very, very excited to read it. And,
And it was super late, right?
you have to
Yeah.
pay for them.
Mhm.
And so, like, it's not on KU, or it wasn't when it came out. I'm not sure if she's
Mhm.
paying for it or not. So I had ordered it so I could like physically read it, and it was supposed to be there on the release date. And then Amazon was like, "Oh, now arriving late by a week." So
Yeah.
Jay, my husband, was like, the closest bookstore to me is at least like half an hour away. My husband happened to be by like going to work, and he worked in that area. So he went to Barnes and Noble and
You did. I remember this now. Yeah.
had to ask for the book.
What a good husband.
I brought it home and I read it. Then the Amazon one actually showed up like 2 days later instead of the week. And so I just sent it back to Amazon and said, like, hey, I don't need it anymore. You were like,
Yeah.
told you to keep it, right? They do that sometimes, and I'm like, no.
no, they actually had me send it back, which
Okay.
was good because I did
I've
not
had
use
them
2
have me
copies.
keep it, and that's
Me
why I gave
too.
you that one before, Mandy. Remember, because one little corner was bent, and I didn't like that, so they sent me a new one. They're like, keep the old one. I'm like, what am I gonna do? 2 copies?
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what I had to do with one of my Outlanders. It was like one of them was bent, and I'm like, are they even gonna want this back? They did, but I was like,
Yeah, they
That's
told
a-
me one that had a hole like in the spine, and I was like, I didn't spend money on this. And it was like a special edition ish.
Yes.
I was like, and it's by Carrie and Cole, so you have to be pristine. I do
Yes.
not want a hole.
Yeah.
They're like, keep it. I was like, I don't want it.
Amazon should have like a special checkbox that it says, "Are you an avid book collector?" Because if you check
Yeah.
that box, then they know to package carefully because they do not package carefully. Like they do not.
No.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
I'm
my
like,
husband
Yeah.
ordered me some books for Christmas, and he's like, there's a problem and I'm not sure what to do. But they put all the books in one box and didn't pack them. And so, like, when they came, books were inside other books and stuff. And he's like,
No.
I'm not sure what to do. I'm like, you hit that return button and you tell them. And he's like, the
Yeah.
idea of this is that Amazon actually started off selling books. So you would think that they would know how to pack them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they don't. I'm like, it's a huge problem.
it is a
You
huge
need
problem.
to be
Well, and
held
it pisses
accountable
me
for
off because now we have a gate at our house, even though we put the code in the thing, like they still, you know, depending on who sends it, they don't. And like even a book that would fit in the mailbox, they don't even put it in the mailbox. They'll like chuck it over, like, and it's books. It's obviously a book in that thing, and they'll just like put it over the gate. And I'm like, why would you do this? to
Yeah.
my book?
But that's the difference between the average Joe and
Yeah.
a reader who collects books. Because
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't have cared 10 years down
Yeah,
the-
like the
you know, about
small little
passages.
dent on like my
It wouldn't have
Outlander, I
bothered
would have been like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm
But
You're-
to someone like us, I was annoyed because there was one of my books yesterday that when I was putting up the bookshelves and stuff, I took everything down and put it out in the kitchen. And I was looking at the top of it, and one of the kids or somebody had set something on top of it on my dresser because I had like a few stacks in my dresser because I
Oh,
had
no.
outgrown my shelves, and it has indents in it. And I was like, what the hell? And Jeff's like, what was I'm like, what's
Yeah,
the problem?
where?
Like I need a whole new copy now. So
And the funeral is when?
exactly. I don't know who's gonna get to him first, me or your husband, Mandy, but one of them will. Because
I know my friend isn't like a collector, doesn't read books all the time. You know, she's got twins, toddler twins, and older toddler. She's like, do you have any books I can like always wants to borrow books? And I go, oh,
No. I don't have books
like
to borrow.
I can't let my book go and be around kids
I'm like,
and like
I am not a library. Okay.
No.
I'm a book owner.
like
not a
I
library.
gave her like extra when I accidentally got like 2 of book. You know, I have an extra copy because I tried to get I wanted to get the off campus series, but I don't want the cartoony covers. And the person promoted it with the regular cover, and then I got it. It was a cartoon, so I got the regular cover at Target.
Yeah.
So then I had 2, and I'm like, okay, well I can give you this cartoon cover
Yeah.
one because I'm never
Um,
gonna use it.
So my comment there, Mandy told her husband that my husband built me bookshelves yesterday. So her husband is mad at my husband because now he has to build Mandy bookshelves.
Well,
I'm
Jen, didn't
not-
your husband build you those bookshelves too?
Well, they put them together. They haven't
Oh,
actually
okay.
built them, but they put
Well,
them
I
together.
want custom bookshelves with ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen
Yeah,
those on like
same.
TikTok where they'll show like where like they're actually making like the bookshelves and they have like this
Mhm.
cool thing, and I'm like, oh, I want one, I want one of
And they're
those.
like, oh, it's the IKEA shelves. And then I go, because my business partner has the IKEA shelves. And so I know how much she paid for hers. And hers just lined one wall. Because that's what I wanted on this wall. And I started looking, and we're talking upwards of $500 before you start assembling. And IKEA, my husband hates me when I bring home things from IKEA because the instructions are just not there. And so
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? We'll just go with what I already have. They're cheaper. And then I'll get something to put on top if I need to. So
Well, like I need a new bookcase because the other bookcase is too small, and I need it so I can have this full wall. But I live in my grandma's old house, and she has all these antiques, and this antique is supposed to go to my cousin, but he won't come get it. I can't move it. It's like this huge antique, and I'm like, I need this move so I can get a new bookcase because I have books like piled up. Like I
Yes.
can't even do like a book haul because I'm like, I have nowhere to put these books. So I'm almost like at the point where I'm gonna hire like movers to just come move it into my son's old room because I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a bookcase here because
Yeah.
I want to be able to do a wider frame too. Like I'm always like this tight frame behind in front of this bookcase, but
mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I
When our,
want like a whole wall like you guys have. Like I want that so bad.
when our subscribers ask for a or even Mandy will bring it up, we should do a bookshelf tour. I panic because I didn't have like mine were in stacks all over, and I just
Yeah.
panicked.
I have them on like my dining room table, like stacked books. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. And then my cat gets on there and I'm worried they're like gonna get
Oh yeah.
onto the books. And I'm like, oh, I literally still have the bunch of Target books I bought for that Target sale, like been sitting in the box for like months. And I'm like, they sent them all in one box too. I got lucky they didn't get ruined, but I was like, they just sent them all in this one big box. I'm like, that could have been a disaster.
You have to get the right size box to pack them all in, and then they're fine. But if
Yeah.
they have movement, you're done.
Yeah, you have to have no movement at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Okay,
done.
we are creeping up close to an hour. So one last
Okay.
question for everyone, including of those of you who are watching. What is a book that you are looking forward to reading next year? So it could just be a book that's been on your TBR forever or a new release that's coming out.
That's a really good and hard question, Mandy. Thank you for bringing that up.
I'm like
You're
trying to remember the
welcome.
name of it. So now I'm like, wait, what is the name?
I can't look mine up because I have no way, but I know what it is, and we'll talk about it in our January TBR video when we have that one. But there is a new book coming out in January that is it's Omegaverse, but it is set in the Wild West, and it is mail order bride, but they're not allowed to be together.
That sounds like a Mandy read right there.
That's a
She's
me
like,
read right
no.
there.
Sounds like I'm convincing my bestie.
It will be convincing my bestie. So I love books in the wild, like set in the Wild West, but it's really hard to find those and that are good, that are done, that are good.
Yeah.
But I love me some Omegaverse. So it's supposed to be angsty. It's supposed to have some dark elements. It's supposed to have all of that. And I will find the title and we will talk about it. But it's
When are you going to talk about that one? 'Cause
I could actually do it right now. I can get it right now. Hold on. It's in my book.
And I thought that might lead us into like of something that we're looking forward to reading that's coming out very soon.
that may be our next buddy read.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that
I'm
too.
really excited about that one.
Okay.
We
here.
have a comment.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Joanne.
We're gonna
You know,
Okay, so I just looked it up. And it's Beautiful Venom. It's a new series, Viper series. Like, because I've been reading all Rena Kent's backlist. I'm finally at the Legacy of God series. So I'm so excited for this book. So we'll see.
So the one I was talking about, I had already put it in my TBR journal for January. It's called Omega Founded by May Pierce.
Have you read her before?
No, so new author. It's a January 11th release. But it's Why Choose Western, Omegaverse, Mail Order Bride. Packs are illegal. There's angst and rejection.
I have two
Okay.
before you tell the other one that I'm actually excited about. So Laura Pavlov has Steal My Heart coming out in January, which I believe starts a new series. And Nikki Sloan has The Broker, which will be another book in the Nashville neighborhood, which I'm very excited about. I love the Nashville neighborhood.
Yeah. And
I've only read 2 of those. I need to finish that series. And I think she added it to Kindle Unlimited now. So it's like, I think I think she did
get 'em.
before. So I was like, I need to finish that series.
So
Ooh.
BJ Alpha also has a release
Yes,
in January.
Megan.
She's teasing.
Yes, Megan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
BJ Alpha has one, and I think it's her spinoff MC series that's going to start in January.
Okay, I said it at the beginning of this year, but I need to read BJ Alpha. But I've been
I haven't read BJ Alpha either. I'm like, so I guess that needs to be added to my like.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make goals every year, what I need to do for the year, so that needs to be added.
2024, and I did not make that. So 2025 I have to. But going back to Megan, yes, Irreversible is one that
Yes.
comes out at the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
It like totally gives me Still Beating vibes, but that she's like co-writing it with somebody else, and it's gonna break me. I can already tell. But and then my next one is our buddy read for January,
Yes.
Which is
Forbidden Dreams by Natasha Madison. Sorry, guys. That first one, right? Everybody read the first one?
Yeah, that was my
I
first
have it. I
Natasha
will, though.
Madison.
Me too.
And I was like, where have I been with this? Because it blew me away. The angst, like the emotions, like I was like, oh, I'm loving this. I gave it like 6 stars because I got so into it. Like I couldn't put it down. And she built the angst and sexual connection. And like, but there was more to it than just throwing smut in there. Like I loved it. So I was like, I got to find out more from this author because I can't believe I've never read
That
her.
hate to love was like true hate. Like that hate
Yeah.
kept going. And I really enjoyed that. It wasn't just like I hate you and now I love you. It was
Yeah.
I hate that you're giving me something that I need and I hate that you're giving me it was
Yeah.
Didn't Natasha Madison write The Unwanted Wife or whatever that was called?
Ooh, did she?
Was that her? Oh,
Was
I
that
don't
her?
know.
Or was that somebody else?
Oh, I
I
have
can
to
look it up. I don't think that's her, but I'll look it up.
cut to everybody on their phone right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's her.
I don't think it is.
Wanted wife or
Oh
bride?
no, that's Natasha Anders. Never mind.
Oh,
It was
okay.
still a Natasha.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jen, when are we doing this live show?
We're gonna do it on January 19th, which is a Sunday.
Okay.
All right.
Same time, right? 4. Wait,
Yes.
is it 1 or 2 your time? So
2
do our
was
time.
the one we did today.
Yeah,
We've
we
done
did
the
it.
1 too.
We did it an hour later today.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out, but it'll be on
Okay.
January 19th
On your channel, on Bookmark by Jen.
on my channel. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Can't wait.
Anything else before we get off?
Everybody have a happy holidays.
I
Yes.
know.
And
Yeah.
happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. And a happy new year.
We'll see you.
Thank you for that, Jessica.
I wasn't expecting that.
Now you guys are all happy that my mic is not working properly, right? Sorry, guys.
Okay. Before I push in stream, do you want to sing us out? Like, do you want like
Yeah.
a whole night real quick? I mean,
We'll do that
Who wants
each time.
We'll all lose subscribers.
well, it does look
Happy
like a couple
holidays.
people have started leaving.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bye.
thanks.
Everybody's like, bye. Candy's like, cut.
Oh my god.
All right, guys.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.